March is often said to be China's political month, as lawmakers and political advisors from over the whole country gather in the Great Hall of the People in Beijing for what are known as the Lianghui, the two sessions or two meetings as they're usually translated. Now these are the annual plenary meetings of China's only legislative house, that's the National People's Congress, usually known as the NPC, and also its top-level advisory body and think tank, the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, known more simply as the CPPCC. Now, the latter consists of around 2,000 delegates from a range of political parties and organisations, as well as independent members from China and overseas. The NPC, that's the parliament if you like, has around 3,000 delegates or representatives appointed by provincial people's assemblies. Between them, the two organisations spend around 10 days passing laws, making important national-level political decisions, discussing solutions to major social and economic problems, and also drawing up plans for the following year. And between these sessions, power is exercised by the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, which contains about 150 members, so sort of a trimmed-down version. This year, the CPPCC meeting gets underway on Saturday, while the NPC kicks off its session on Monday. So, as it all begins, what are the hopes and concerns of the online community for this year's gatherings? Well, to find out, let's head over to the newsroom now, where our researcher Esther Dung has been following what's being said. Okay, Esther, so that's a basic idea of what the NPC and the CPPCC are, but what about the functions and powers of these two sessions? And why are these sessions such big media events, not only in China, but indeed around the world?
Well, first I have to say that the system of the NPC and the CPPCC play a central role in China's politics. The NPC, of course, as the legislature, has more functions and powers, including electing the president of China and approving the appointment of the premier of the city council. It also approves the work reports of top national officials, which are presented during the sessions. In addition, the NPC acts as a forum in which some legislative proposals are drafted and debated. A number of the important bills will be put before the Congress, which must approve them in a final vote. This it almost always does, but in some exceptional cases, it has said no. The CPPCC is more something like an advisory legislative upper class, say like the U.S. Senate, although it doesn't veto legislations, but usually makes proposals and suggestions. The events attract a lot of attention from the Chinese media, obviously. As for the foreign media, I think there are two main points of interest. One is the various reports produced by the Chinese leadership, which give some hint of what direction the leadership is going in terms of policy, both concerning the domestic and international situations. For example, last year the government issued its 7% growth target for GDP. Another point is that this is one of the few chances that foreign reporters get to attend a press conference involving Chinese leaders outside the foreign ministry and ask them unscripted questions.
Okay, Esther, as you said, these sessions are where topics, big and small, get discussed. So what are the issues on net users' minds this year? And, well, what would they like to see being addressed?
Well, in fact, several days ago, many big news websites, including People.com and iPhone.com, began to run online surveys about just that, the topics people care most about. Now, from this and through what I have found on the internet myself, it seems that it is concerns relating to people's everyday lives, such as the housing prices, social welfare, and social security, including retirement pensions and the country's health system, and of course, food safety problems are still the topics people care the most. Now, according to the poll results on People.com, it was the social welfare and the security issues that ranked number one. And in fact, last year, this problem was also at the top of the public agenda. And within this fairly broad area, it is discrepancies in the area of pensions and retirement that seem to worry a lot of people. This poster, Mao, for example, is a typical example in hoping the government will abolish the preferential pension arrangements for public servants in comparison to those paid in the private sector. Why do these public servants not need to pay the endowment insurance and still get a pension? And why do we need to pay more tax but get a smaller pension than them? Is this not a relation between exploiting and being exploited? And finally, this poster from people.com has this suggestion for the NPC to help some of China's least well-off citizens. China will soon enter the peak period for pension payments. And since the rural reform progress is being speeded up, so I think it's time the government took some action to ensure that the farmers could get the pension. Of course, there are plenty of other suggestions for improvements in health, education, food safety, as I mentioned, and other hot topics. But this difference between the public and the private sector certainly seems to have hit a nerve.
Right, now moving away from the higher aspects of this, like the work of government, and down to more practical, maybe local aspects and effects of this huge meeting, how are the people of Beijing viewing what is inevitable disruption to their lives?
Well, of course, as we mentioned before, since about 5,000 delegates are here in Beijing for the next 2 weeks, it's a huge deal in terms of logistics and security. So among temporary regulations, Beijing's traffic authorities have restricted non-local vehicles from most of the city. And of course, for security and again, traffic flow, some specific sections near the Great Hall and the Tiananmen Square will be closed off or restricted. And that doesn't go down well with all Beijingers. Why should we suffer on the road because they need to hold the meeting? I suggest that next time the delegates could hold the meeting in the evening, and then we can suffer a little less. And this poster, Liu Shaoda, also feels a little dissatisfied. Here is his saying. Why not let the delegates to experience the traffic jams themselves? If they are afraid of being late to attend the meetings, they should get up earlier. And this is what we ordinary people have to do in the morning. Besides this, the National Post has warned that all postal and the express deliveries will be under close scrutiny for safety reasons, and this may cause delays. Again, this hasn't gone down that well with the man on the street or on the internet. Here's a poster from QQ.com. Come on, please think about our feeling when you come up with such rules. My work means I need to send deliveries every day. How much time I will waste according to this regulation? But finally, this Beijing poster has a semi-serious solution to avoid all the hassle on Sina.com. I think that in order to avoid any problems, during the 2 sessions, we should cancel all activities and have a nice rest at home.